I believe we are recording now. Yes, we are. Hey, everybody. Welcome to SIG Autoscaling for the 19th of February 2026. Wow, time is flying. Um, this call is recorded and we abide by the CNCF Code of Conduct, which in summary is be nice. So the request is for everybody to be nice. Um, Starting off the agenda, we have something new that we're going to be doing every time we meet, and that is going over the various E2 tests for the various projects that the SIG owns, just to look for any particular issues and see if we have to follow up and handle those. So I've got some tabs open already. Um, I honestly struggle with this view. I assume this is a history of a time,
And
and
those
I'm
are
not
test
sure.
runs sorted by recency. Yeah.
Right. So something like this, I'm assuming is a flake because I'm assuming you don't need to create an issue about this. Or and I'm assuming we also don't need to dig into it. That's assumptions.
Are these periodic tests or are these pre-submit tests?
These were added by somebody else. I don't know who. So I'm assuming these are periodic tests.
Okay, great.
Um, well, okay, let's leave it for there. Whoever added them can probably speak up in one of the upcoming meetings because we have a lot of green. I'm assuming these are
Yep.
flakes. And
5 hour
then,
duration tests are usually going to be periodic. That's a really, really long period of time. So you wouldn't
yeah,
block a PR on that normally. The only reason I bring it up is because there's a different, sort of approach to you can determine uh, periodic test flake instances fairly quickly because you assume that they've been subjected to the same test coverage getting to your main branch before they run. So they're stable. So, like a red row in a periodic test dashboard, pretty high probability that's a flake. If it's a pre submit, it
yeah,
could just be the author iterating
iterating.
on the PR and actually the test failures being sort of sane and then converging towards success at the end.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess maybe in the future we might start digging into these more, but um, if it ran for almost 2 hours, it could be an infra problem. It could be various things. Um,
Yeah.
cool. Let's leave that for now. This is a new process. We can refine it and tweak it as we go on. Um,
Well, but
so
before we
I
leave that, do we have an
sure.
owner for the GCE tests? I know I've seen a lot of the PRs pass, so I assume it's some subset of the authors who've been doing that work. Is anyone present who
Uh,
wants to own the?
so this is cluster autoscaler.
Yeah.
So I think that so I'm Karol. We are joining from Google. We might have the person who's been working on that in the team. So
Great.
if there is something we should ask them, we can do that.
Okay, cool. I think for now we're fine. As Adrian mentioned, we're getting started. So it's
Sure.
yeah, just great to
Yeah,
know like
as
what's the triage process when we discover a flake.
Yeah, that's a good call out, and maybe we should eventually figure out a process like file an issue here and assign or add these labels or whatever. So moving on to the VPA one, I want to rename these so it'll be easier to look at. But effectively, all the pre-submits have pre-submit at the end. Um, so there are a few flakes. So this is the alpha and beta tests, which have some flakes. But not too worried about them because these are hidden behind alpha-gated feature flags. So, well, actually, I think this is probably a flake. Um, only
This is for
2.9
CPU
maybe.
boost. I will,
Yeah.
Yes.
sorry, this is Adrian Ledwin. I work with Cam. I will ask Cam to have a look at those flakes to see what's going on.
My assumption here is it could be flaky because it's running in serial with other tests and like,
I see.
something like that at a guess. And the fact that it's about 50% of them, that's probably worth looking into.
Okay.
See if you can figure that one out. Yeah, same here. Only 1 out of 3. So I do wonder. Um, a quick win that I've actually done on the HP at the moment is maybe just mark it as serial and see if that cleans it up, and then in the future we can see if we can get it to run in parallel again somehow. Cool. And then the last one is HPA. HPA is honestly a little bit messy. It's something I'm actually working on now for the alpha and beta feature flags. So I'm okay with this as is because I'm actively looking at this and working at this. These are the regular tests. I think this is infra troubles. Alpha and beta has a known the configurable tolerances is flaky / broken. Got a fix going out today. Well, got a test fix going out today. And then this is the pre-submit tasks, which I will get to once I've fixed the other ones. So not great, but it is something I'm looking at. So I'm not too worried about that. Cool. I don't know how to pronounce this person's name. Are you in the call?
Yes, Karol, you can.
Hi.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know how much time do we have. I wanted to basically share a bit about the work we are doing. Hopefully that so this is in cluster autoscaler. Hopefully this would be useful for everyone contributing.
First, quick question, do you need to share your screen?
Gaetan, do you plan to share something or?
We can also basically see the PR that it's open in the open source code. I don't know if you put it
Okay,
there.
if you put it on here, I can open it up. And in terms of time, we have 19 minutes left of the meeting with one item, which I'm assuming this is Shack, and I'm assuming it's not a big one. So you got some time, I think.
Yeah, we'll try to be concise, and if it gets too long, you can just cut us. So we are working on integration testing for cluster autoscaler. This is basically a reliability effort, but the thing that we want to introduce is the in-memory tests that basically work as unit, almost as unit tests, but we want to try to test the whole thing as much as we can, so that we have like more reliable testing without the flakiness and the long runtime of the end-to-end tests. So basically, the two principles we are trying to introduce is first we're trying to initialize something as soon as possible in the stack. So hopefully in the main go the external dependencies, which is Kubernetes client, and like cloud provider is a little bit messy, but basically, so we are faking only these external layers, and all of the rest is actually running the full cluster autoscaler code. So that's one thing we are focusing on, and the second core thing is that we are trying to focus on like state verifications instead of interaction verifications, which is like a common pattern right now we found in cluster autoscaler. Basically, the idea is like maintaining a state and allowing cluster autoscaler to modify that and verifying only that. Decouples the test more from the implementation itself, so there is more flexibility to change the implementation if you need that. And so that's the intro. Gaetano is actually doing the heavy lifting here, so I will leave it to him.
Yeah, like to be concise, if you can go maybe in the files that we added, there is a new directory which is called test in memory test, as Karol was saying, and inside this directory there is a new template test which is called template test.go. Yes. So this is basically a skeleton for this new approach to writing tests into the code base, relying on fakes instead of mocks, and basically also relying on sync test library. It's not a hard requirement to use it. You can basically decide if you want to use it or not. I don't know if you are familiar with this library, but it's pretty useful to work in a very asynchronous code base like Cluster Autoscaler 1, because you can basically control the time, and inside this sync test bubble, as you can see, you will use a fake clock so that if you want to sleep for a specific amount of time, will not affect the real time but the fake time.
So I think we have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a question about, I'm inferring that based on the introduction of this and then other discussions about plans for significant refactors in 2026, that the best approach would be to sort of finish this effort to, as best we can, 100% of the behavioral surface area. And then that can act as a sort of source of truth as we do refactors, because refactors are going to probably require a bunch of unit test changes that can make it difficult to deduce if there are any changed outcomes. So having some like a neutral observer like this will be really helpful to prove that like functionality stays the same as those refactors occur. Is that kind of the plan?
Yes. So, like a couple of points, we try to like promote this pattern, but we won't be able to like do comprehensive rewrites of the tests in Cluster Autoscaler. So, but yeah. So there is another team like close to us that is working on this refactor. I think that what you are saying is a good like this would be the safer path to do the large refactors. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I'll try. I'll definitely keep a watch on this as it progresses, and encourage you folks to keep making progress, because it sounds super helpful, and it's a really good way to ensure stability during a refactor effort. So
Yeah,
thank
because
you.
honestly, currently we only added a couple of tests that are resembling the ones that we currently have in OSS static cluster autoscaler test package. As you can see here, I added also another test which is much more complete of this one, but it's similar to this one. Like the sections are always the same. You are basically creating a test config with autoscaling options. You can override them if you want. You then set up the overall infrastructure, which will provide the fakes, as Carol was mentioning, Kubernetes with a fake client set, cloud provider. The fake cloud provider was basically built upon the fake cloud provider interface. So if you wish to use another cloud provider, like, I don't know, AWS, GC, something like that, you should be responsible to add support for it and for all the internal state of it. And then you can wrap all your tests into this sync test bubble if you want. It's discouraged if you are writing benchmarks. You should avoid using it. If you need much more information regarding this, I can then link to you some documentation that were pretty useful when writing these tests. And then we are creating a real cluster autoscaler, but injecting these fakes dependencies. And then you are good to go. You can create nodes, add pods, run a cluster autoscaler loop, and then assert that everything is behaving as you are expecting. There is a full cycle cluster autoscaler test as well, as I was mentioning, into the other file, which is above this one, static autoscaler full cycle. This is like what I did was basically try to copy what we actually have, but relying on mocks and rewriting it completely using these new functions and with these fakes dependencies. And here we are basically testing a scale up, scale down. And basically that's it, honestly. I don't want to take much more your time.
Yeah, so just one thing to add. I was afraid we will forget about this part, but if anyone is interested in like trying this out and for any feature that you might be working on to writing a test like that, feel free to tag me on your PR and I will be happy to help. I don't have superpowers to approve the PR, but I'm happy to provide feedback. And my GitHub handle is in the agenda.
That's super cool. Cool, thank you. Anything else on this? I'm just wondering about I'm not a classical autoscaler maintainer, but getting approval for such large changes and like figuring that out. I don't know if you've got people to help with that.
Honestly,
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, it's almost approved.
Yeah.
Okay.
There will be some like some holidays, and so it took longer than expected. But we are aligned with some of the owners.
Perfect. That's gonna be cool. And then I guess the advantage of those tests, they probably run really quickly and they can be added to pre-submit and get feedback quicker rather than waiting 5 hours like these
Yes,
ones.
I'm not sure how that we will have to observe how does it look like if you add it for every single thing that we have, but it's rather.
For sure.
I mean, it should be super fast.
Yeah, that's cool. Cool, thanks very much. I guess nobody's been taking notes. That's fine. Jack, you're next.
Yeah, just a real quick PSA for any folks who have been tracking. There was a buggy image for 132.6 that was due to a sort of Frankenstein makefile cherry pick from a while back, I guess. So thanks to, I can't recall who found that, but that makefile configuration for the buildx and Docker manifest create, all of that workflow has been adapted to what's in 133 and above. And so we now have a working multi-arch image. So I assume most folks are pulling the multi-arch image, so this is probably a pretty wide audience who would want to care about this. So it won't happen again.
Cool. Well, that's everything on the agenda. Any other items anybody else wants to bring up? No? Cool. Shall we call it? Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much, Adrian.
Enjoy the rest. Enjoy the 8 minutes that you're getting back.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.